Welcome to the intersection of Black culture and horticulture with your girl, Colah be Tawkin. And guess what, y'all? We Black in the garden. From WABE Studios, welcome to Black in the Garden, the intersection between Black culture and horticulture. Al, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Colah be Tawkin.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, roses are red and violets are blue. But heart-shaped leaves are coming for you.
They sure are. And on this special episode today, and by the way, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We're so glad to be back in 2025.
It's a good time. It's a good year.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling optimistic.
This is your Valentine's plant guide today. And we're challenging roses to share the spotlight with a few alternative plants for gifting on this occasion.
I know that's right. So in past episodes, we've discussed things like chocolate and flowers.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the dark side of chocolate with the chocolate botanist. And we also talked about, with you, we talked about the language of flowers, floriography.
Mm-hmm.
And these are two items that are very commonly associated with the festivities and the indulgences that we participate in on Valentine's.
Yeah, and today I'm really excited to talk about just the way that we can look at plants. And the first thing that we see sometimes for this specific day could be a heart.
Yes.
And that to me means more than a rose. And I'm just going to say that up front.
Okay, let's just, because we got some hot takes.
Yeah, we're going to dive into it.
We're definitely going to give roses a run for their money, but
when you think about plants and a heart,
yes,
what's your favorite plant that's heart-shaped?
It's the elephant ear. Like, that's so easy for me because that is literally my first favorite plant.
Period.
Ever.
Okay.
Yeah, period. You know, it was just such an endearing thing to know that there was a plant that was like named after an animal part in a way that was cute to me, you know? And so it being heart-shaped definitely contributed to that endearment for me.
Yeah.
And I hold it near to my heart.
I would have to agree. And then when I hear elephant ear, there's so many different types. And alocasia, like that's one of my favorite plants, even though there's sometimes like very hard to keep alive. Very hard to keep alive, but that la corazón, that heart, every time it gets me, every time.
In Espanol. Let me find out.
But no shade to anyone in the rose industry. Roses are overrated. Sure, you know, they may be traditional, but they are over commercialized. Plants with heart-shaped leaves are just unique, meaningful, and they're a great alternative that symbolizes love and growth.
Heavy on the growth because they're actually, they stay alive. You know, the roses, they die. They cut flowers.
Exactly. And heart-shaped plants are long-lasting. They're living reminders that really, honestly, it stands for care and affection.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you're giving something to someone to take care of. And that within itself stands alone. And whether you're giving them to someone special or treating yourself intentionally, that's the key, is to give something with love. And Valentine's Day isn't just for others. Gifting yourself a heart-shaped plant is a beautiful act of self-care, self-love, and it keeps giving joy long after the holiday. No matter when you give it to them, they'll still have it around and they'll remember you. Treat yourself.
Roses have become the ultimate symbol of love on Valentine's Day with an astounding 250 million stems produced annually for the holiday. And that was just as of 2018.
That's crazy.
And that's according to the Society of American Florists. Shout out to them. You'll never guess the top producing country for roses.
I might.
I'll let you try.
I might, because anytime I'm thinking horticulture plants, I think Africa. Now, I might be able to tell you where specifically, but I would say Africa.
And you are on the right continent because it's a continent, not a country. And Kenya, one of those countries in Africa, this was a shock to me, totally gagged me to find out that Kenya is the top global producer of roses, and it plays a very central role in meeting the massive demand. That 250 million stems a few years back. And that's just highlighting the flower industry's global scale. It's huge.
And speaking of numbers, we even saw on realroses.com that as of 2022, customers spent $2.3 billion
with a B.
Billion with a B, on flowers for Valentine's Day that year. And that's the highest amount since 2007, tied with 2020.
What? Wow.
Yeah. Roses are the most popular flower, and it will come as no surprise to know that red roses account for 70% of Valentine's Day flower purchases. And I'm not too surprised, but you got to know what color you're getting. red is not always the best. And speaking of those 2 years.
Yeah.
2007 and 2020. From my recollection, 2007 was when there was a huge market crash, right?
Right.
Okay.
Or right before.
Right before.
Uh-huh.
And in 2020 is when we were going through COVID, right before COVID.
Right before.
So maybe we should start paying attention to flower purchases to know when the world is going to be going array.
We got to get an agronomist on here. I got somebody in mind. Yeah, we really need to unpack
I'm missing Obama a text.
Well, I mean, it's just the beginning of the year. Give us some time, y'all. Give us some time.
Okay.
But before we get into all of that, let's unpack a little bit about the sustainability aspect.
You know, I love that.
This is important.
It is.
Okay. Now, quick disclaimer. Just because I'm talking about sustainability like I do does not mean I have it perfect. You know, mm-hmm. I don't have it all the way perfect. I'm just saying it like that. But let's talk about monoculture. Okay. All right. That is the practice of growing a single crop on a very large scale, generally not in a good way. It's a hallmark of commercial rose farming, and it's a major environmental concern. And that goes back to the George Washington Carver days. You probably have heard that word monoculture from the episode where we talked about George Washington Carver, because when we say that he saved the economy of the United States, it was because he recognized that monoculture was causing soil depletion on the lands. Poor farmers, they were struggling to make the money that they needed to make. The whole economy was going down. And so monoculture was actually a reason why there was about to be a decline in the entire American economy. So just coming back to what monoculture is in this context, there's other mass-produced crops produced the same way using monoculture. Think about your holiday crops. Think about Halloween, pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns. Y'all know how I feel about that.
Christmas trees.
Christmas trees.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas trees. Something, think about, these are plants. Trees take a long time to grow that are specifically being grown for people to enjoy for a couple weeks, and then generally they throw them away. And so considering the impact that it has on the environment, worth noting.
I've never even honestly thought about that. I think I have on a smaller scale, but when you tie it to like holidays and how we produce things, and we never think about the soil that we stand and walk on every day, unfortunately. But important. That's why this conversation is so important. So I'm glad that we're bringing that to the forefront.
Oh, and we're just getting started. Okay. We're going to get to the fun and the sweet part, but we just got to break this down a little bit more. So monoculture is a method that depletes soil nutrients, and it requires heavy reliance on harmful pesticides. That pollutes the waterways, and then it also can harm aquatic life. So it's like, you know, the balance that is required in nature for things to be just right. Once we get too much things going in this system that throw it out of whack, not a good look.
I mean, and then you think about the end of where the food is going is us. So everything else that we just named, we are also intaking that. I mean, even if you think about, I was just about to say, even if you think about animals and the stress that they put themselves under when they are, you know, killed, and then they say that humans take all of that in, and we just have to kind of figure out what to do with it when we don't know what to do with it, but it's actually affecting our bodies.
Nothing that happens to the earth does not affect us. And it's also worth noting that large-scale rose farms contribute to things like deforestation, habitat destruction, and biodiversity loss. But like I said, that's not exclusive to roses, because we're not necessarily trying to throw roses under the bus, but that is a unfortunate, and I would even go so far as to say unnecessary result of the practice of monoculture. So while roses, being the star of Valentine's Day, may bring us seasonal joy, their production places a bad and significant strain on the environment.
I just hate that the first word that came to my mind is greed. Because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
That's what it all boils down to. It was very heartbreaking just to research and come across some of the things that I found out in just getting ready for this episode. Did you know that in the 7 weeks leading up to Valentine's Day, an average of 500 truckloads of flowers depart out of Miami every day? 500 truckloads per day out of Miami. Did you know that?
Absolutely not.
But you have even imagined.
No. But I'm wondering, are they coming out of Miami, or are they on boat? Yeah, like, are they on boats coming?
Oh, we're going to break all of that down. But, okay. So they come out of Miami. right? But there's over 300 flights that bring them from places like Ecuador and Kenya to get them to Miami.
Yeah.
Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So we're going to take a brief moment to discuss a little bit of Black history that's related to floral logistics. And that one time where I was one of those truckers that drove from Miami to California hauling flowers as a trucker. So I have first-hand experience with this. Let's talk about the invention of refrigerated trucks, which is what makes it possible for flowers to be transported in the way that they need to be, because they are perishable goods. Safely. And how are you going to go from California, in these hot places with these flowers that do need to be kept at a very specific temperature? So
why do I feel like you're about to get into how flowers were taken care of better than slaves?
No, we're not.
Okay, because I'm about because the transportation refrigerated, you know what I mean? Like, we were packed and they wasn't worried about no refrigeration. No cooling, no nothing.
You're right.
I'm about to get mad.
No, please.
Go ahead and go into
it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to tell you a Black history fact related to the invention of what we call reefer units in the industry, but the technical term is refrigerated trucks. And those were pioneered by Black inventor Frederick McKinley Jones, a Black inventor. We love those kind of facts. It revolutionized how perishables like flowers and, of course, our food is transported across vast distances. And think about it. That's land, sea, air, right? All because of that one invention of that refrigerated unit to keep those containers refrigerated, right? And so I remember when I was trucking, my longest hauls actually being during the Valentine's season. Right after Christmas, that's when it gets started with the transportation. The flowers are being cut. They're getting ready to be prepped for these long journeys that they're taking. So it was during the weeks leading up to Valentine's, but also worth mentioning Mother's Day. In those seasons, I remember driving a reefer from Miami to California. Now, it was a team operation, and that's where my partner and I switched off driving for sleeping. So that kept the truck going continuously. We only stopped for fuel, and when we stopped for fuel, we got food. One person is sleeping while the other person is driving. You drop off your load, you pick up another load. The truck stays running because 500 truckloads out of Miami per day, just moving the trucks about the country. So that experience really opened my eyes to the massive logistical scale of the floral industry. And so I know firsthand from that experience how a single bouquet's journey relies on energy-intensive resources, transportation, unfortunately greasy truck stop food.
I'm just also thinking about all that, like emissions and CO2. Like,
yes,
it's just,
the diesel. How many
just
times
to get
do you think
flower.
we gotta just in my one little truck, just trying to get across the country? How many times do you think we had to stop for fuel?
Plenty, too many.
That's I don't know the numbers. The thousands of miles to go from Miami, the bottom of Florida, all the way to the other side of the country.
Side of the map.
We had to stop a couple times to make sure that we had the diesel, but the emissions, like you said, is definitely affecting the planet, leaving a massive carbon footprint that kicks climate change in the gut before the roses ever even reach their recipient. So I learned from Waterborne Environmental's website that roses are often grown in regions like Ecuador and Africa, where irrigation systems are necessary to sustain the crop. Of course, that's a lot of water. All that water is exacerbating water stress in areas that are already affected by drought without that industry taking so many resources. In fact, Ecuador is a major exporter of roses. But right now, at this very moment of this recording, they are dealing with an energy shortage specifically related to water. The energy minister of Ecuador recently warned that there's been an unprecedented crisis as drought has critically lowered reservoirs for their hydroelectric plants, which supply 70% of the nation's power. So it's like a ripple effect. One thing is affecting the other thing.
And at the end of the day, who is it going to affect most? The people who are affecting it.
Yeah. And generally, it affects the most vulnerable populations. Yeah. We're thinking about having a good time enjoying the festivities of the holiday, just wanting us to be mindful, not saying, no buy roses ever again, but just making an informed decision to maybe
from
get
Plant Zaddy, you are hearing to get you a plant. Okay?
Of course you would say that.
I would say choosing a plant designed for long-term enjoyment is undeniably the more responsible option compared to a single-use plant. Mm-hmm. Even as we recognize that the potted plant industry still has sustainability challenges to address. There's definitely more behind this. So let me give you just a few reasons why, okay?
Let's get into it.
So it lasts longer. It grows with you. And it actually improves your space. And we've talked about this many times. I'm a curator of spaces, and from the cleaner air, good vibes, all of it, like there's so many things that are valuable. Plants are alive, just like the connection we're celebrating. Valentine's Day, you want to connect with that person. So skip the bouquet and give someone really something that keeps on giving. It's a gift that keeps on giving. And that's the best gift of them all. We just talked about sustainability as well. So that's one thing that you definitely don't even realize that you're gifting when you are thinking thoughtfully and uniquely and out of the box. If you want to give a plant over a bouquet of roses. So it's going to symbolize growth between you and that individual, reminding the recipient of your thoughtfulness every time they water or care for them.
I love that.
So for me, I mean, as a man or a woman, when you gift a plant, you're able to see, can that person even care for something? Can they keep me alive if I need help?
Are we testing them?
Yes. And I was just about to say, it's a test, okay? Take the hint. Let that special one know, like, yeah, I'm trying to see if you can take care of something.
Let's add that as a note to our next single plant parent conversation.
It's already embedded. Definitely.
Test them out. Get them a plant. See what happens. Come back in 3 weeks.
But why don't we? Okay. Now, a tip for the flowers, I will say, is some people add like charcoal to the water or a penny. Because of the copper, it kind of helps them stay alive longer. But let's just give them like a couple of plants that they might be able to gift someone.
All right, so we're going to get into about 5 plants, right?
Okay.
5 heart-shaped plants.
Ooh.
We're going to talk a little about their care, a little symbolism, and just make sure that y'all get the tea on alternatives, because we already talked enough stuff about roses, so we want to let y'all know what's really good.
Lay it out for them, Colah.
All right, so I love an anthurium. I know, well, I don't want to assume.
That I love them?
Do you like
them?
I
mean, they're definitely not the easier plant to take care of, but we'll take it.
All right. Well, they do symbolize hospitality, abundance, and passion. Okay. And we do love passion.
And I mean, I know, like I said, they're hard to take care of, but they love light. So you have to make sure that whoever you are gifting them to, that they have the proper amount of light. Indirect light, but no shade.
Indirect bright light.
Indirect bright light.
No shade.
No shade. And they need light. Like, these plants need some light.
They're very particular about their light.
Very particular.
It's giving Mariah Carey.
It's
but then they like high humidity. So that's what really makes it a diva.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Very Mariah Carey.
Make sure you know the person you're giving them to. Because going back to the tip, you want to test them, but you want to give them a fighting chance.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well give an anthurium to Mariah Carey, because she's going to have her people take care of it.
Give Mariah Carey a snake plant. She does not have time for no plants.
She's not taking care of plants.
Exactly.
Come on now.
Now, one of the ones I would recommend is a heart-shaped philodendron.
Okay.
You know about that?
I know that the difference between a philodendron and a pothos, as I've been told by our soil cousin, Lucretia, who was on season 2 of the podcast, she told me that the difference between philodendron and pothos is the shape of the leaves. Philodendron generally more heart-shaped. Are we getting this right?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I think it's all like perspective, to be honest with you, because pothos, sometimes when you look at the leaf, I could see why someone could say, I see a heart.
Yes.
So I think the philodendrons are more heartly, like shaped and a keen heart,
very with that dip in the middle.
Yes, the dip
like
in the middle.
Very specifically, you can lay it on the paper and trace it, and it's a heart.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
so
hey,
that's a clear indicator.
Pothos being a cute little, backup if
Yeah,
you can't find that philodendron. If you in a hurry, because sometimes we'll be down there last minute.
Okay, so what they look like is they're a trailing plant with lush green heart-shaped leaves, and they symbolize a perfect plant for steady, dependable love. And these are definitely one of the easier plants to purchase for someone or to gift someone because they're low maintenance. They thrive, in many different varieties of environments. So that means that low light, high light. Sometimes even if you don't water them and it's too much of a drought, you'll have more of a possibility of life.
A little dryness.
Yeah, there's a little dryness, just a little bit more than others.
And what about humidity?
No. They can take multiple different variation of environments. So humidity is fine too. Yeah, but that just might alter the amount of water you give them.
Okay.
Let's give them the third one.
What? My favorite out of all of the heart-shaped leaves. So cute. The Hoya, the Carrie, aka the sweetheart plant, is this adorable little heart-shaped succulent. It reminds me of a plant from an anime cartoon, even though admittedly I don't really watch anime like that.
Neither do I.
But it kind of reminds me also of like a little short snake plant, but it's shaped like a heart. Sometimes it'll be all one color. Sometimes it might have like a little
variegation,
a little variegation, a little white rim around it. And they're just so cute. Very easy to care for, being a succulent. A simple, sweet expression of love. That's the symbolism behind it. And it needs minimal water and lots of indirect light.
Yep.
So these plants, they're pretty chill.
And the funny thing is, I'm glad that that's your favorite because actually for Valentine's Day, Plant Zaddy will be selling... You like this?
Go off.
So a heart-shaped Hoya.
Yes.
And just imagine I love you scratched into the front.
You gonna scratch the plant?
No. There's a healthy way. I'm saying visually for everyone who's not seeing this, I love you.
Yes.
Scratched into it.
Okay. But you're not scratching the plant.
No.
Because you
There's a process.
Me.
It's a color. It's a color that stays.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But just making it unique. And then one thing that you did leave off is that they bloom flowers. Did you know that?
No.
They bloom these beautiful little itty bitty pink and white flowers.
After how long?
Snake plants bloom flowers too?
I do know that, but come on.
But that's when they're in
distress.
distress.
You got to have it for like 50 years.
No, you don't. Just put it in distress. But for how long? It could.
That. How do you distress a snake plant? It just like to be
don't
left
water
alone.
it. That's the snake plant is in distress. I'm not saying you're putting it into distress.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for helping us understand.
Absolutely. So yeah. Now we already talked about this. Alocasia poly. Well, we said alocasia.
We said
but
alocasia.
Elephant ear, same family. Alocasia poly is a purple tinted plant.
I don't like her.
You don't?
I'm not even.
Because she's hard to take care of?
The one that they also call it an African
mask.
Face mask.
Yes.
No. You can have her and them spider mites. Nope.
But like I said, they're dramatic and they symbolize bold love, strong connection. And the carrot tip is you're on your own because I don't really know how to take care of alocasia. I'm just playing.
Not you sitting up here telling us this.
You definitely want to make sure that it is a humid environment and not dry.
Okay.
Because that's going to help the longevity of you holding on to some leaves. Because alocasia polys are known for having 2 leaves. And when you get the third, you see the other one about to die.
I'm triggered.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, look, my tip to you when you get your alocasia poly, if you should choose to torture yourself in that way, is make sure you get some salad dressing when you get it for the spider mites. All right.
Not the salad dressing.
Yes. Or they're going to eat it up like a salad.
Just get some systemic granules too, but just send me a DM. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, do that. Okay, so string of hearts.
That's the next one.
Another one that's very cute. Love this is like, taking that plant and interpreting it into like maybe a necklace. Some plants you see it and you want to like put it on. It's a delicate trailing plant with small heart-shaped leaves. They're so cute. The symbolism is enduring love and interconnectedness. And it does prefer bright, indirect light and occasional watering when the soil is dry. Occasional watering when the soil is dry. What does that even mean?
That means that it can survive in extreme drought.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to stay moist. Some plants like a moist soil. And that's just
moist.
Yes, consistently moist.
Like a fern.
Yeah. Yes. Because a fern, when you allow it to go dry, the possibility of coming back to life is probably like 20%.
So you want to talk about the oxalis?
You know, you told me before the show that was one of your faves, so I'm going to let you take it.
So the thing about the oxalis, first of all, am I even saying it right? Tomato. Yeah. Oxalis, purple shamrock. Mm-hmm. This is actually another one of those plants that you'll see a lot of during a particular season. I notice it around St. Patrick's Day, sometimes around Mother's Day. They'll have a whole bunch of them, right? It's a unique clover-like plant. It's got heart-shaped leaves, but not specifically heart-shaped because the shapes are a little bit more like sharp around the tips.
Yeah.
And this plant, the reason why it's my favorite is because it, out of all the plants that I've ever had, is the most active plant. Mm-hmm. It does a certain thing throughout the day, but the leaves kind of like fold a little bit at night, you know, kind of like a prayer plant. And I also noticed when I remember having one and really enjoying seeing how it follows the sun.
Yeah.
And what's that word? We know that word.
How it rotates.
Heliotropic.
Yeah, girl.
Come on, because I know words. Don't y'all forget.
Come
All right.
But that's always good to also rotate your plants, no matter where they are. But a care tip for this one is make sure that you have well-drained soil.
I did.
And not on, okay.
I treated her real good. We just moved.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
But yeah, she thrives in bright lights. I remember she was by the window. She was just so cute, and she was just, it felt like a pet almost.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that as one who is not prioritizing getting a pet.
Yeah.
I got kids.
But, you know, you brought up a point in terms of it communicating back to you.
Yes.
And that's one thing to pay attention to as well when you have plants in your house, because they do talk back to you.
You want to give an honorable mention?
Sure.
Syngonium. Arrowhead.
So this one is a versatile plant with arrow-shaped leaves, as you see in the name, that developed a heart shape as they mature.
Yes.
So this is once again one of the plants that you will be able to grow with, see the difference in growth, but it really symbolizes personal growth and transformation.
And we see them in different colors, right? Like white.
White, green. I think it comes in a white and green one, then a solid green.
And there's a pink one too.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is one of those variegated plants that definitely give you a certain level of beautification and differentiation. But one of the care tips is it likes medium to bright light and evenly moist soil. So once again, we talked about moist, drought. This is one of the ones that are right in the middle.
Very hardy. It can climb, right?
Yes.
It's a vining plant.
Yep.
So one of the endearing memories that I have of the syngonium from, once again, my landscape of memory in my childhood home was there was a tree out in the front. This was in Florida. And the syngonium would literally wrap around the entire tree. Yeah. It would just grow up the whole tree. And
that strengthens the plant as well.
Oh, it does. Yeah, when those roots attach to that tree.
Yeah, it's over with.
Yeah. Those are some woody leaves. Those are some woody, you know what I'm trying to say, roots.
But the thing is, that's why you also have to kind of mimic its natural environment and what it likes.
Yes.
So that's why it's good to have a moss pole.
Thank you for that. Pro tip. Yeah. Pro tip. Yeah. All right. So speaking of the pro tips, you got a few more for us? I'm going to defer to you for this.
I mean, absolutely. So, like we said, you want to definitely choose the right heart-shaped plant for your Valentine or yourself. So let's think about tailoring the gift. You want to match the plant to the recipient's personality and lifestyle.
Important.
Exactly. So for a plant newbie, you want to go with a low-maintenance option like a heart-shaped philodendron or a Hoya Carey, like we just discussed, or a pothos. But for someone who loves bold aesthetics, choose an anthurium or alocasia poly or something like a Dieffenbachia. But for a sentimental touch, let's try a string of pearls or a string of hearts. And that's really perfect for symbolizing connection.
And we do love a sentimental touch.
Yes.
Especially on Valentine's.
Okay.
Damn.
And when you're gifting something that is living, you want to ensure that you give care tips, whether it's a note on how to water, where to place the plant, or other maintenance advice. This ensures that your gift is both practical and beautiful, helping it thrive long term.
Right.
Which could also ensure that y'all have a two-way relationship and helping each other thrive.
I love that. Aw. You also have the option of decorating your pots. So now we can get into a little arts and crafts. You can elevate your potted plant gifts by decorating plain pots with, Valentine themed designs. And everything doesn't have to be all hearts just because it's Valentine's. Don't get us wrong. There are other symbols that do represent the themes. There's colors and things like that.
Or just know the person you're gifting. They might like black. Get a black pot. Get a red one. Yellow.
Customize. That's the whole point. You can put a sweet message on there. I love those, what is it? The conversation hearts. You do things like that.
Yep.
The colors, the pinks. Try not to use glitter if we're going to talk about sustainability. I keep hearing about how glitter is not really the best way to go.
It's just messy.
It's also not sustainable.
Right.
Yeah. So just, if you can. And whatever it takes to make your gift feel warm and unique and thoughtful. We love a thoughtful gift.
Exactly. And even before you give it to them, let's think about where you get it from. In Atlanta, we have plenty of Black-owned businesses to support.
Oh, yes.
But all around, it's one thing to support Black businesses on just this day, but we want to support Black businesses every day.
Come do better now. We got to eat every month.
Don't just limit floral purchases to Valentine's Day or Mother's Day. Celebrate every day. Support a Black business because it helps them thrive. And we want to help each other thrive at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And as much as we were giving roses a hard time, we still want y'all to support the Black florists, please. And also give consideration to what it might be like to grow your own flowers. Another pro tip. Black floristry is truly an art form, and I love to consider highlighting the creativity and the cultural relevance of Black florists. I remember on the florography episode, we talked a little bit about the Black Flora book written by Teresa Spate. And Black florists design arrangements in such beautiful and innovative ways. They create all these shapes and they use all these techniques to tell meaningful stories. We've had a guest on one of the seasons some years ago, John Caleb Pendleton of Planks and Pistils. And as an activist, he has created beautiful floral arrangements that he has placed on Black monuments around the country. So there are so many ways that Black florists are out here actually doing work that supports the community and uplifts the community. So the least we can do is support and uplift them.
Absolutely.
And preserve the cultural expressions that they are bringing to life through flowers.
I think that we've given a lot of education,
yes,
some tips, and a way for you to differentiate from somebody else that might be giving your loved one flowers as well. Okay?
Yeah. Another pro tip, for whoever's trying to impress whoever, I'm not going to name no genders, but maybe you getting that cute little Hoya carry instead of the roses, that might give you an advantage.
That's what
over
I'm
your
saying.
Competition.
Exactly.
Okay, keep that in mind.
Because once those flowers are gone, what's going to still be standing?
What's still going to be standing?
That plant.
Okay.
As long as they take care of it.
You have the best chance with the Hoya carry. So let's take a moment to rethink the story behind those classic roses that we associate with love. Okay. All right. While they're beautiful, unfortunately, their production comes at a cost that we're not really thinking about. The hidden cost, like water shortages in Ecuador and habitat deconstruction for large-scale farming, to name just a few. But here's the good news, all right, because we do love some silver lining. We can make choices that are both thoughtful and sustainable. We can opt for a potted plant that will grow with our love, especially our love for ourselves. I cannot emphasize that enough. We can show consistent love to Black florists beyond the holidays to make sure that their businesses are thriving. And of course, it's not about canceling roses, but it's more about food for thought. And the thought being, how can I expand my option? And how can I make sure that the gifts that I'm giving to myself or to others reflect care for the planet? How can it reflect care for the growers and for the communities that we support? So next time you're gifting, ask yourself, what story is this gift telling? Okay. I'm so glad that y'all got to join us for this episode. Happy Valentine's, as some of us like to say. Soil cousins, I want to wish you all love, light, and soil.
Yes.
Don't get up. Don't go nowhere. Stay tuned for the watering moments. where Plant Zaddy is going to share a little bit of extra nourishment.
Absolutely. A little extra love.
A little extra. Yeah. Pour a little bit more on us to help us grow in our journey.
What's going on, plant fam? So during that episode, I just couldn't stop thinking of how a flower may symbolize love, but a living plant says, let's grow together. So baby, let that sink in, because that says a lot within itself. So this Valentine's Day, gift with a purpose and stand out. Be different, be bold. Gifting a heart-shaped plant like the anthurium or a heart-shaped philodendron or a sweetheart Hoya isn't just thoughtful, it's intentional. A plant is a living symbol of care, growth, and longevity, reminding us that love, like plants, flourishes with patience and intention. So whether you're gifting to someone special or treating yourself, choose a gift that lasts. Plants are not only a sustainable choice, but also a daily reminder to nurture the things that matter. So let love take root this season, because a living, thriving plant is just the beginning of a thriving connection. And with that, plant fam, plant more and worry less. Plant Zaddy out. Let's just give them like a couple of plants that they might be able to gift someone. You got one?
I'm lost. Oh, child.
I was trying to tee you up.
I was trying to stay in the zone.
She said,
okay, wait, go back. Go back. Where's my head? I thought I was with you. Go back.
No, it's okay.
Like the root of my hair, from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. Hey, yeah, black like the root of my hair. I'ma go what I eat in the garden where I be, yeah. WABE.